Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Larry Davis and this is Growth State of Mind. And today I want to take some time to talk about potential. See, God's gift to us is potential. Our gift back to God, if you want to think about it that way, is developing it, developing that potential. See, we develop our potential by getting out of our comfort zone and continually stretching ourselves. We need to stretch ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And if you're going to make any progress, you're going to have to keep stretching yourself. See, God's gift to us is potential. He has given all of us potential. It does not matter who you are, you have potential. And our gift back to Him is developing that potential, doing something with what He gave you. This reminds me of the parable of the talents. If you're not familiar with the parable of the talents, it's in the book of Matthew, chapter 25 in the Bible. And this is a story about a master and his three servants. See, the story says that a man was set to go on a long trip. But before he went on that trip, he left his three servants with some talents, or better yet, money. Depending on what translation you use, some say talents, some say money, but it was basically money. So he left these three dudes with some money. He gave 5 bags of silver to the first servant, and then he gave 2 bags of silver to the second servant, and then he gave 1 bag of silver to the third servant. And so it says that he divided up the money to them according to their ability. Now, then he left and went on his trip somewhere. He went on his trip to the Maldives. But then the story says that the story tells us what the servants did with the money while the master was gone. It said the first servant, who had the 5 bags of silver, he invested it, and he made 5 more bags of silver. So he ended up with 10 bags of silver. So that's a 100% return on his investment. The second servant, he took the 2 bags of silver he had, invested it, and he made 2 more bags of silver. So he ended up with 4 bags total, which was a 100% return on his investment. And then it says the last servant, who was given the 1 bag of silver, he dug a hole in the ground and buried the money, meaning he didn't do nothing with it. Then the Bible says, after a long time, the master came back from his trip. See, the Bible was careful to tell us that he came back after a long time. So that means that he was in the Maldives for a long time. He got a suntan. He probably got sunburned because he was gone so long, chilling on the beach. But anyway, the Bible was intentional to tell us that he was gone for a long time. And the reason why is because that means that these boys had plenty enough time to make the most out of what they were given. So once he got back, he called all 3 of the servants in so they can give an account of what they did with the money that he left them. The first servant was like, yeah, I invested the money. I invested the 5 bags of silver that you gave me, and I made 5 more bags. And so the master was like, yeah, that's what's up. That's what I'm talking about. He dapped him up and he said, that's what I'm talking about. Well done, my good and faithful servant. Since you have been faithful with what I gave you, I'm going to give you more to handle. And then the second servant came in and he said the same thing. He said, I took the 2 bags of silver that you gave me, I invested it, and I got 2 more bags of silver. And he said the same thing. He was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Well done. Because you did something with what I gave you, I'll give you more, basically. And then the last servant came in there looking crazy in their face, talking about, what had happened was, see, I was scared, and I was scared to lose the money, so I just buried it. I just hid it in my mattress. Like I was afraid to lose it, and so he was like, well, here's what you gave me. I didn't do anything with it, but I didn't lose it either. I didn't lose none of it. At least I brought you back what you gave me. And the master was like, I don't care that you didn't lose any of it. Like, of course you didn't lose any of it because you didn't do anything with it. Like, you could at least put the money in the bank or put it in a savings account or something to at least earn some interest on the money. Like, you probably would have only got 1%, but at least you could have done something with it versus just burying it in the ground. Like, you could have done something with it. And so he was like, you lazy servant, give me that bag. And he took the bag from the servant, and he took the one bag from him and gave it to the one who got 10. And so at this point in the story, the Bible says that for those who use well what they have been given, even more will be given to them. And then it says, for those who do nothing with what they've been given, even with what little they have, that will be taken away from them. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be in that position to where, first of all, I already got a little, and then you take it away from me. Like, I don't even want to be in that position. And so, like I said, God has given all of us potential, but it's what you do with that potential is what matters. You see, the servants, they were not the owners of the money. They were just managers of it. They were just stewards of it. And the same is true for us. God has given all of us something to manage, whether it's time, money, gifts, talents, opportunities. But here's the thing. There's often a gap between the potential that you have and what you do with it. And in between those two things, that's where you have to stretch to make the most out of what you've been given. See, if you want to be successful at anything, you're going to have to stretch and reach for it. You see, it's all in the stretch. It's all in the stretch. And you see, the last servant, he didn't do anything with the money that he was given because he was afraid. He was afraid to stretch. You see, fear can cause people to play it safe. It may even prevent you from receiving new blessings when you're living in fear, because he didn't do nothing with what he was given. For him to make a return on his investment, he was going to have to stretch. He was going to have to get out of his comfort zone in order to maximize his potential. But he didn't do that. And you can't look around at other people and say, well, I don't have what they have. Like, you can't look at the person with the 10 bags or the 5 bags and say, well, I don't have what they have, so I can't do what they did. And I don't have that talent. I don't have the ability, or I'm not rich like them, or I don't have a degree. I don't have the looks that they have, or I'm not as smart. Like, you can't look at all of that. Like, he couldn't look at the other two with the 2 bags and the 5 bags and say, well, you didn't give me what they got. Because if you look back at the story, it says the master divided up the money according to the servant's ability. So he divided it up according to their ability.